The slumbering titans. The galactic trading hub buzzed with activity as ships from 100 worlds docked, exchanged goods, and departed in an intricate dance of commerce. At the heart of this economic symphony stood the massive Terran freighters, their sleek hulls gleaming under the stars. These behemoths of interstellar trade were a testament to humanity's place in the cosmos, not as conquerors or warriors, but as the undisputed masters of galactic commerce. Captain Ilara Chen stood on the observation deck of her ship, the stellar winds, watching as anti-grav cranes loaded the last of their cargo. Her crew, a mix of humans and aliens, worked with practiced efficiency. To the rest of the galaxy, this was the face of humanity: diligent, innovative, and above all, peaceful. Captain, her first officer, a tall Altarian named Zex, approached with a datavat. The Zorn delegation is requesting an audience. Again. Ilara sighed, her dark eyes narrowing. Tell them we'll meet once we're in transit. I don't trust Zorn feet on my deck while we're still docked. Zex's tentacles rippled in agreement. Wise, Captain. Their aggressive posturing has increased lately. Many worlds are concerned. As Ilara prepared to respond, a tremor ran through the ship. It was subtle, imperceptible to most, but she felt it in her bones. For a moment, the captain was transported back to her youth, to classified briefings and hidden training grounds. She shook off the memory. Those days were long past, buried under treaties and trade agreements. Zex, run a full diagnostic. I want to know if that shake came from us or the station, she ordered, her voice carrying an edge of authority that surprised her second-in-command. As Zex hurried off, Ilara's personal comm chimed. The message was short, encrypted, and sent on a frequency she hadn't used in decades. The giant stirs. Prepare. Thousands of light-years away, on a nondescript planet officially designated as an agricultural world, General Marcus Vega stood in an underground bunker that officially didn't exist. Around him, rows of stasis pods hummed to life, each containing a soldier trained for a war the galaxy had forgotten. Sir, his aide approached, tablet in hand. We're receiving reports from all sectors. The Zorn have launched simultaneous attacks on our frontier worlds. Vega's weathered face remained impassive, but his fists clenched at his sides. Casualties. Minimal, sir. The hidden defensive grids activated as planned. The Zorn were caught off guard. A grim smile played at the corners of Vega's mouth. As were we, Lieutenant. As were we. He turned to face the rows of awakening soldiers. Humanity has played the role of the gentle giant for centuries. We've been good neighbors, fair traders. We hoped that our past, the horror and glory of our warfighting history, could remain just that, the past. The general's eyes hardened as he watched the first of the stasis pods open, disgorging a warrior who hadn't drawn breath in over 200 years. But we never forgot. We never lost the skills that once made us the terror of 1,000 stars. We hid our strength, buried our weapons, and prayed we'd never need them again. Around them, the bunker came alive with activity. Ancient systems, maintained in secret for generations, roared to life. On screens throughout the facility, reports flooded in from across human space, hidden fleets emerging from gas giants, orbital platforms shedding their peaceful disguises to reveal weapon systems that made their Zorn attackers look like children with slingshots. Sir, the lieutenant's voice shook slightly. The Galactic Council is demanding an explanation. Our sudden show of force has them concerned. Vega nodded, unsurprised. Tell them the truth, Lieutenant. Tell them that humanity has been awakened. The sleeping giant has opened its eyes. As the general spoke, similar scenes played out across human-controlled space. On distant mining colonies, massive hangar doors ground open, revealing starships that dwarfed anything in known space. In scattered star systems, mysterious installations that had puzzled synorchaeologists for centuries suddenly came to life, their true purpose finally revealed. Back on the stellar winds, Captain Chen finished sealing her pressure suit, her movements precise and practiced despite years without use. Around her, her crew watched in confusion as hidden panels throughout the ship slid open, revealing weapon systems and armor plating that transformed the peaceful trader into a warship. "Captain," Zex's voice was filled with a mix of awe and fear. What is happening?" Ilara met her first officer's gaze, seeing the doubt and confusion there. She took a deep breath, knowing that her next words would shatter the image of humanity that had stood for centuries. "What's happening, Zex, is that we've been attacked. And now we're going to respond." She turned to address her entire crew, her voice carrying to every corner of the ship. "For generations, we've been traders, explorers, and peacekeepers. We've worked alongside you, built friendships and alliances. But there's a part of our history, of who we are, that we've kept hidden." The captain's eyes blazed with a fire that none of her crew had ever seen before. Humanity was born in war, forged in conflict. We've known peace for so long that many of us forgot the strength that lies dormant in our blood. But we never lost it. We never forgot how to fight. As she spoke, the ship's systems reconfigured themselves. Cargo bays transformed into fighter launch tubes. Sensor arrays shifted to reveal targeting systems of terrifying precision. The Zorn believe they can prey on us, that our peaceful ways have made us weak. Ilara's voice hardened. They're about to learn how wrong they are. Humanity tried to bury its warrior past, but that past has been awakened. And may whatever gods the Zorn believe in have mercy on them, because we will not. As the stellar winds broke orbit, it was joined by dozens, then hundreds of other ships. Each vessel shed its peaceful disguise, revealing the martial power that had lain hidden for so long. Across the galaxy, alien races watched in growing horror and awe as humanity's true face was revealed. The sleeping giant had awoken, and the galaxy would never be the same. The first tremors. The Galactic Council chamber, normally a place of measured debate and careful diplomacy, had descended into chaos. Representatives from 100 worlds shouted over one another, demanding explanations, making accusations, and pleading for calm. At the center of the storm stood Ambassador Lyra Novak, Earth's representative to the Council. "Order. We will have order." The Arbiter, a towering xenon with iridescent scales, slammed his gavel repeatedly. As the din subsided, he fixed Lyra with a piercing gaze. "Ambassador Novak, your people owe us an explanation. For centuries, humanity has claimed to be a race of peaceful traders. Now, we see warships emerging from every corner of your territory. What is the meaning of this deception?" Lyra stood, her posture rigid, her face a mask of calm that belied the turmoil within. "Honored members of the Council, I assure you that humanity has not deceived you. We are, at our core, a people who desire peace and prosperity for all. But we are also a people with a complex history, one that we have chosen to set aside in the interest of galactic harmony." A murmur ran through the chamber. The Zorn representative, his crimson scales bristling, leaped to his feet. "Lies. Your kind has hidden weapons of mass destruction throughout the galaxy. You speak of peace while preparing for war." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "And what of your attacks on our frontier worlds, Representative Kraz? Was that an act of peace?" Before Kraz could respond, the chamber's main display flickered to life. The face that appeared was one known throughout human space: Admiral Helena Frost, Supreme Commander of Earth's long-hidden defense forces. Members of the Galactic Council, Frost's voice was cool, authoritative. "I speak to you now not as a representative of Earth, but as the commander of humanity's awakened military might. For centuries, we have lived among you as traders and diplomats. We have shared our technologies, our cultures, our dreams, but we never shared our nightmares." Images began to flash across the screen. Ancient battles, worlds raised by conflict, the horrors of a war-torn Earth. Humanity's history is steeped in blood. We have known war on a scale that many of you cannot comprehend. And when we finally found peace among the stars, we made a choice. We would bury our weapons, hide our strength, and pray we would never need to unearth them again. The Admiral's face returned, her eyes hard. The Zorn Empire has forced our hand. Their unprovoked attacks on our worlds have awakened the sleeping giant. Make no mistake, we do not relish this return to our warrior past, but we will not stand idly by while our people are threatened. As Frost spoke, reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Human ships, once thought to be simple freighters, revealed hidden weapon systems that outclassed anything in known space. Orbital platforms around human colonies transformed into impenetrable fortresses, and from hidden bases on a dozen worlds, fleets of warships emerged, their designs unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. On the frontier world of New Eden, the Zorn invasion force found itself suddenly outmatched. Captain Ilara Chen, her stellar winds now a fully armed battlecruiser, led a counteroffensive that sent the Zorn reeling. All ships, form up on me, Ilara's voice crackled over the comm. Remember your training. Remember who we are. As the human fleet engaged the Zorn, the difference in technology and tactics became immediately apparent. Weapons that the Zorn had thought to be the pinnacle of destructive power were shrugged off by human shields. Maneuvers that had won the Zorn 100 battles were anticipated and countered with ease. In the span of a few hours, the invasion of New Eden had been repelled. Similar scenes played out across human space as centuries of hidden preparation and technology were brought to bear against the Zorn aggressors. Back in the council chamber, the mood had shifted from outrage to a mix of fear and awe. Ambassador Novak stood once more, her voice steady. We did not want this. We have worked for centuries to be worthy of the peace we found among the stars. But make no mistake, we have not forgotten how to fight. And we will defend ourselves with all the terrible power at our disposal. The Arbiter, his earlier anger replaced by a look of grim understanding, nodded slowly. It seems, Ambassador, that we have all underestimated humanity. The question now is, what happens next? As if in answer, the chamber's displays lit up with new information. Across Zorn space, human fleets were on the move, but they weren't pressing their advantage or launching retaliatory strikes. Instead, they were taking up defensive positions, creating a clear line between human and Zorn territory. Admiral Frost's face reappeared on the main screen. We have the power to push this war deep into Zorn space, to make them pay 100-fold for their aggression. But that is not our way. Not anymore. Her eyes swept the chamber, meeting the gaze of each representative in turn. We offer the Zorn Empire this one chance. Withdraw your forces, end this war you have started, or face the full might of an awakened humanity. As the transmission ended, silence fell over the council chamber. The representatives of 100 worlds looked at each other, then at Ambassador Novak, seeing humanity in a new light. The sleeping giant had stirred, had shown a glimpse of its true power. And now, the galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what this ancient warrior race would do next. In the depths of space, aboard the stellar winds, Captain Chen watched the stars streak by as her ship led the defensive line. She thought of the peace they had known, of the war that now loomed, and of the delicate balance between humanity's past and its future. The giant had awakened, but the choice of what kind of giant it would be, conqueror or protector, still lay ahead. The giant stirs. The void of space erupted in a dazzling display of destructive power. The Zorn flagship, a behemoth of crimson metal and snarling weapon ports, shuddered under the assault of human forces. Captain Ilara Chen, standing on the bridge of the stellar winds, watched the battle unfold with a mixture of awe and regret. Target their propulsion systems, she ordered, her voice calm despite the chaos around her. Disable, don't destroy. We're here to end this war, not annihilate them. As her crew carried out her commands with practiced efficiency, Ilara couldn't help but marvel at how quickly humanity had reawakened its martial prowess. In the weeks since the initial Zorn attack, The galaxy had watched in stunned silence as the once peaceful human race revealed the full extent of its hidden might. Across human space, ancient weapon caches were unsealed, and orbital defense platforms shed their harmless disguises. But it was the emergence of the Lazarus fleet that truly shocked the galactic community. Hidden in subspace pockets, these ships represented the pinnacle of human military technology, a force so powerful that its mere existence had been deemed too dangerous to reveal. As the Zorn flagship listed to one side, its engines sputtering and dying, Ilara opened a channel to its bridge. "Zorn vessel, you are outmatched and surrounded. Surrender now, and we guarantee the safety of your crew." For a moment, there was only static. Then, a gravelly voice responded, filled with a mixture of fear and defiance. "We will never surrender to you, humans. You tricked us all, pretended to be weak." Ilara sighed, feeling the weight of centuries on her shoulders. "We never pretended to be weak, Zorn Commander. We chose to be peaceful. There's a difference." She paused, choosing her next words carefully. "But peace doesn't mean forgetting how to defend ourselves. You forced our hand. Now you have a choice: end this war or face the consequences." As she spoke, reports flooded in from across the front lines. The Zorn offensive had been broken on every front, their forces in full retreat. Human ships, revealing technologies that seemed to border on the miraculous, were pushing deep into Zorn territory. On the distant world of Novus Prime, General Marcus Vega oversaw the deployment of ground forces against the last Zorn stronghold on the planet. As he watched his troops advance, utilizing tactics and technologies unseen in centuries, he felt a strange mix of pride and sorrow. "Sir," his aide approached, tablet in hand, "we've received word from High Command. The Zorn central government is requesting an audience. They want to discuss terms." Vega nodded, his face impassive. It was inevitable. They thought they were poking the sleeping bear. Instead, they woke a giant. He turned to face his aide, his eyes hard. "Transmit to all forces, hold positions, maintain defensive posture only. No further advances until ordered." As the message went out, a ripple of confusion spread through the human forces. They had the Zorn on the run. Why stop now? But decades of training in the arts of both war and peace had instilled a deep discipline in human forces. They held their positions, watching and waiting. In the Galactic Council chamber, Ambassador Lyra Novak stood before the assembled representatives, her posture rigid, her voice clear and unwavering. "Honored members of the Council, I come before you today with news that will shape the future of our galaxy. The Zorn Empire has sued for peace." A murmur ran through the chamber, relief from some, disappointment from others who had hoped to see the Zorn punished further. Lyra raised a hand for silence. "Humanity accepts their surrender, with conditions. We will not seek reparations. We will not demand territory. Our sole demand is this: the Zorn Empire must submit to oversight from the Galactic Council for a period of no less than 50 years. The chamber erupted in shocked whispers. The Arbiter leaned forward, his iridescent scales shimmering. "Ambassador Novak, forgive me, but your people have the Zorn at your mercy. You could demand far more. Why show such restraint?" Lyra's eyes swept the chamber, meeting the gaze of each representative in turn. "Because, honored Arbiter, we remember. We remember what it is to be consumed by war, to let vengeance guide our actions. We buried that part of ourselves for a reason." She paused, her voice softening. "We awakened the giant out of necessity, but we will not let it rampage unchecked." As she spoke, holographic displays throughout the chamber flickered to life, showing scenes from across human space. Warships, their weapons powered down, escorting Zorn vessels back to their territory. Human medical ships providing aid to damaged Zorn worlds, and perhaps most surprisingly, human engineers working alongside their Zorn counterparts to rebuild what the brief but brutal war had destroyed. Ambassador Kraz, The Zorn representative stood on shaky legs. His once proud posture was gone, replaced by a mixture of humility and confusion. I don't understand. You have defeated us utterly. Why offer aid? Why show mercy? Lyra turned to face him, her expression a mixture of compassion and steel. Because that is the true strength of humanity, Representative Kraz. Not our weapons, not our hidden fleets, but our capacity for both righteous fury and profound mercy. She addressed the chamber once more. We awakened the giant to defend ourselves. Now we choose to put it back to rest. But let all here bear witness. We are prepared to wake it again, should the need arise. As the council session adjourned, representatives from 100 worlds approached Lyra, their expressions a mix of awe, fear, and newfound respect. The galaxy had seen the power of an awakened humanity. Now they were witnessing something perhaps even more remarkable, a people with the strength to win a war, and the wisdom to end it. Aboard the Stellar Winds, Captain Chen received the news of the peace agreement with a mixture of relief and trepidation. As her crew celebrated around her, she stared out at the stars, wondering what the future would hold. The giant had stirred, had shown its might. But in choosing restraint, in offering mercy, humanity had perhaps revealed its greatest strength of all. The war was over. The giant was returning to its slumber. But the galaxy would never forget the power that lay dormant within humanity, a force of both destruction and creation, capable of shaping the very fabric of galactic society. The sleeping giant had awoken, and in its stirring had changed everything. The wrath unleashed. The peace that followed the Zorn surrender was uneasy at best. While most of the galaxy breathed a collective sigh of relief, tensions simmered beneath the surface. Humanity's display of power had shifted the balance of the cosmos, and not everyone was comfortable with this new reality. On the fringes of Zorn space, a splinter faction of hardliners refused to accept the terms of surrender. Led by Admiral Vexkar, a decorated war hero with a deep-seated hatred for humans, this rogue element of the Zorn military prepared for one last, desperate strike. Captain Ilara Chen stood on the bridge of the Stellar Winds, now part of a joint human-alien peacekeeping force. Her ship had been patrolling the border regions when the first reports came in. "Captain," her sensor officer called out, voice tight with tension. "We're picking up multiple warp signatures. They're heading straight for Earth." Ilara's blood ran cold. Earth, humanity's cradle, left largely undefended due to its distance from the conflict. "How many?" "At least 50 ships, ma'am." "And there's something else." The officer's voice faltered. "They're emitting radiation signatures consistent with planet killer weapons." The bridge fell silent. Planet killers. Weapons so devastating they had been banned by galactic treaty for millennia. Weapons that could render entire worlds uninhabitable in minutes. Ilara's mind raced. The Stellar Winds was fast, but even at maximum warp, they'd never make it to Earth in time. She opened a channel to Fleet Command. "This is Captain Chen. We have a Code Omega situation." "Repeat, Code Omega." "Rogue Zorn fleet on direct course to Earth with planet killer capability." The response was immediate. All across human space, hidden installations hummed to life. On distant moons and asteroids, massive cannons emerged from camouflaged bunkers. And in the vast emptiness between stars, something stirred, something that even most humans had thought was just a myth. On Earth, in a bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Marcus Vega received the alert. His face, usually an impassive mask, showed a flicker of genuine fear. "Activate the Errors Protocol," he ordered, his voice barely above a whisper. Across the galaxy, the call went out. The sleeping giant had been roused once before. Now, it was time for it to unleash its full fury. As the Zorn fleet approached Earth, they found not the undefended jewel they expected, but a world bristling with defenses. Orbital platforms, hidden for centuries, revealed weapon systems that made even planet killers seem insignificant. But it was what emerged from the dark side of Luna that truly struck fear into the hearts of the Zorn attackers. A ship, if it could be called that, larger than anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Ares, humanity's ultimate deterrent, a mobile battle station with the power to reshape solar systems. Admiral Vexkar, his eyes wide with a mixture of awe and terror, watched as the behemoth moved to intercept his fleet. "By the first egg," he whispered, "what have we awakened?" The battle that followed was brief and devastating. The Ares, commanded by Admiral Helena Frost, didn't just defeat the Zorn fleet, it annihilated it. Weapons that could crack planets were swatted aside like insects. Shields that could withstand supernovas crumbled under the Ares' assault. In the Galactic Council chamber, representatives watched the battle unfold with a mixture of horror and fascination. Ambassador Lyra Novak stood before them, her face a mask of grim determination. "What you are witnessing," she said, her voice echoing through the chamber, "is the full might of humanity unleashed. This is the power we chose to hide, the strength we prayed we'd never have to use. But make no mistake, we will use it to defend not just ourselves, but all who desire peace in this galaxy." As the last of the Zorn ships fell silent, a hush fell over the council chamber. The Arbiter, his scales dulled with shock, turned to Lyra. "Ambassador, what happens now? Your people have shown power beyond anything we thought possible. How can we trust that you won't use it to dominate us all?" Lyra's expression softened, a hint of sadness in her eyes. "Because, honored Arbiter, that is not who we are. We buried this power once before. We will do so again. But first, we must ensure that such a threat never rises again." In the days that followed, humanity faced a choice. With the Ares revealed and their full military might on display, they could reshape the galaxy as they saw fit. Some human leaders argued for using this power to enforce a Pax Humana, a peace guaranteed by the threat of overwhelming force. But in the end, it was the voices of restraint that prevailed. Captain Chen, speaking before the United Earth government, summed up the feelings of many. "We awakened the giant to defend ourselves and others. If we use this power to dominate, to rule through fear, then we become no better than those we fought against." And so, humanity made a decision that would echo through the ages. The Ares was returned to its hidden dock in the depths of space. The orbital defenses around Earth powered down, and across human territory, the mighty engines of war fell silent once more. But this time, humanity didn't hide its strength. Instead, they offered to share it. Not the weapons, but the technologies that could benefit all. Medical advances that could cure diseases thought incurable. Energy systems that could power worlds without harming them. And perhaps most importantly, the wisdom gained from centuries of walking the line between peace and war. As the galaxy watched, the sleeping giant didn't return to its slumber. Instead, it transformed, becoming a guardian of peace, a teacher of hard-won lessons, and a beacon of hope for a brighter future. The wrath had been unleashed, yes, but in its wake came not destruction, but a chance for rebirth. The galaxy would never be the same, and perhaps, just perhaps, it would be better for it. A new dawn. The galactic landscape had been irrevocably altered. In the months following the failed Zorn attack on Earth and the revelation of humanity's true power, a new order began to emerge. The Ares, that colossal embodiment of human military might, had returned to its secret birth, but its shadow still loomed large over galactic affairs. On the reborn world of New Eden, once a battleground and now a symbol of recovery, Captain Ilara Chen stood before a gathered crowd of humans and aliens alike. The stellar winds, her faithful ship, rested in orbit above, transformed once again from a weapon of war to a vessel of peace and exploration. "We stand here today," Ilara began, her voice carrying across the assembled beings, "not as conquerors, not as warriors, but as builders. We awakened the giant within us out of necessity. Now we choose to direct its strength not towards dominance, but towards creation. As she spoke, holographic displays flickered to life around the gathering, showing scenes from across the galaxy. Human scientists working alongside Zorn engineers to develop new, clean energy sources. Terran medical teams bringing advanced treatments to worlds ravaged by centuries-old plagues. And perhaps most surprisingly, joint human-alien military exercises, sharing the defensive technologies that had kept Earth safe for so long. In the Galactic Council chamber, a new era of cooperation was taking shape. Ambassador Lyra Novak, now respected and somewhat feared in equal measure, addressed the assembly. "The sleeping giant has awakened, yes," she said, her eyes sweeping the chamber. "But we do not seek to rule through fear or power. Instead, we offer partnership. We have walked the path from warmongers to peacekeepers. We have tasted the bitterness of conflict and the sweetness of harmony. Let us share these lessons so that no race need endure what we have endured." The response was cautious at first. Many races, having seen the awesome destructive potential of human technology, were wary of drawing too close. But as the weeks turned to months, and promises were kept, trust began to grow. On Zorn Prime, the once proud capital of the Empire, General Marcus Vega led a delegation of human diplomats and scientists. They were met not with hostility, but with a mixture of respect and curiosity. The Zorn, humbled by their defeat, but inspired by human mercy, were eager to learn. "We came here expecting to find enemies," Vega addressed the Zorn High Council, his voice gruff but sincere. "Instead, we find potential allies. You sought to conquer us, yes, but in doing so, you awakened not just our wrath, but our wisdom. Let us build something together that will outlast any empire or war." As he spoke, plans were unveiled for a joint Zorn-human defense initiative. The very weapons that had nearly destroyed both their peoples would be dismantled, their components repurposed for exploration vessels and terraforming equipment. But not all was smooth in this new galactic order. On the fringes, some viewed humanity's new role with suspicion and fear. Whispers spread of secret alliances forming, of races banding together to check human power before it grew too great. Admiral Helena Frost, standing on the bridge of a new exploration vessel, addressed these concerns in a galaxy-wide broadcast. "To those who fear us, who see our power and tremble, I say this: watch us. Judge us not by the weapons we possess, but by the choices we make. We have tasted godhood and found it bitter. We choose instead to be guides, partners, friends." As her words echoed across countless worlds, actions backed them up. Human fleets, once instruments of war, now led humanitarian missions to the farthest reaches of known space. The technology that had powered the fearsome Ares was adapted to create shields that could protect entire planets from natural disasters. On Earth, in the halls of the United Earth government, debates raged about humanity's new role in the galaxy. Some argued for a return to isolation, fearing that too much involvement in galactic affairs would inevitably lead to conflict. Others pushed for a more assertive stance, believing that humanity had a responsibility to shape the galaxy for the better. In the end, a middle path was chosen. Humanity would neither hide its strength nor seek to dominate. Instead, they would stand as guardians of a fragile peace, ready to awaken the giant if needed, but striving always to solve conflicts through wisdom rather than force. As the years passed, the galaxy settled into a new equilibrium. The Human-Zorn Alliance, once unthinkable, became a model for cooperation between former enemies. The Galactic Council, revitalized by human participation, began to tackle age-old problems with new vigor. And on distant worlds, in bustling spaceports and quiet colonies, a new generation grew up hearing tales not of the terrible human war machines, but of the sleeping giant that woke to defend and chose to stay awake to build. Captain Chen, now Admiral Chen, stood on the observation deck of Stellar Winds, watching a newborn star illuminate a system ripe for exploration. Beside her, a young ensign, half human, half Zorn, gazed in wonder at the sight. "Admiral," the ensign asked, "do you ever miss it? the power we once wielded. Ilara smiled, placing a hand on the young officer's shoulder. The true power, Ensign, lies not in our weapons or our ships. It lies in our choices. We chose peace when we could have had vengeance. We chose to build when we could have destroyed. That is the legacy of the sleeping giant. Not that it awoke, but that having awakened, it chose to extend a hand in friendship rather than form a fist. As the stellar winds moved towards the new star, its crew a mix of races from across the galaxy, Ilara felt a sense of profound hope. The giant had stirred, had shown its might, and had chosen a path of wisdom. And in doing so, it had not just changed the galaxy. It had opened the door to a future brighter than any could have imagined. The dawn of a new era had truly begun, and humanity, once the sleeping giant, now stood ready to help guide the galaxy towards a future of peace, discovery, and boundless possibility.